clear. So I will now present a bit in the direction that Fiona just talked about, because it's also about human genetics and it's about specifically direct-to-consumer genetic testing. So I'm running OpenSNP in my spare time, and this is what I'm presenting today. And so let's get started with the slide, which you have to show basically every time somewhere is a genomics conference, right? It's basically over time the decrease in cost per sequencing a human genome. And you have Moore's law, like every 18 months, sequencing progress halves, and we see it's decreasing much, much faster. So this, of course, leads to many, many new opportunities. One of them, for example, is genetic testing goes mainstream. Because nowadays, if you go to Amazon, you can not only buy books about human genetics, which are really interesting. For example, here's a human being, but you can also get your personal genetics testing right away and order it alongside the book to basically live it by reading it. And this really has increased in the last couple of years. So this is from 2008 on, basically, until more or less today, how many people have access to their own genetic data. And you have like the dots for 23andMe, and you have the dots for Ancestry DNA, and you see they're really, really rising in the last couple of years. And if you do genetic testing like this, what you end up with is like medical results, for example. So this is my 23andMe results, which I'm happy to show you because they're publicly available anyhow. So my health risks, I have an increased risk for prostate cancer or for gallstones, for Crohn's disease, and I also am not a carrier for any of those conditions. So that's interesting. And 23andMe, I know, or at least some of you might know that they weren't allowed to show those results for a couple of months or even over a year, I think, because the FDA cracked down on them, but now they are starting to deliver those results again. And of course, if you have your genetic data, you can also use like those Ancestry results to get my 23andMe data in Western European. Big surprise there, but for other people it might be more interesting. And in a similar vein to like the Biome, of course, have now the human microbiome projects, where you can basically get your own microbiome sequence from a couple of different sites on your body and see how it develops over time. So if we now think back about this slide, the increase in data, lots and lots of people have access to their data nowadays. But this data would be really nice, it would be used for research, and it's not only locked away in individual sites somewhere, because everyone has access to their own data, but you can't really use it. And you all know that like genome-wide association studies, looking for associations between traits and genotypes, requires like large numbers of people who have access to their data, but you have to have large numbers of samples basically. And getting those is really expensive. You might have to have time to find any people at all who have been additionally interested in it. So crowdsourcing somewhat would be nice. And of course, not only the individuals have access to their data, but the companies who provide testing also have access to their data. And these are using it already. So you can find, like, this is not genetic, but it's from patients like me. They have lots of people registered on their website talking about their disease. And they're using this data to basically do crowdsource studies with self-reported data from patients. And 23andMe has now over 40 different studies looking at all sorts of things, for example, like motion sickness and delay development and stuff like this. They do. And of course, with 1 million people in their database, they can stuff like this, like looking at over 100,000 people in their GWAS, because we have the data available already. And the best thing, they don't even have to pay for it, because people actually somewhat pay them for getting genotype in the first place. So if this data would be now somewhat openly available, this would be really, really cool. But unfortunately, while they have like an API where you can access your own data somehow, apparently you should be able to use it for open science, they are not really too keen if people are using this for making the data publicly available. And this is for kind of obvious reasons, because they're making good money by selling access to the data. So if you're a researcher and have like $60 million, then the 23andMe database is all yours. If you don't have $60 million, yeah, tough luck somehow. So, I mean, not only like the financial things, but also, of course, it's like ethical concerns about who should have access to the data and what is it used for. So you need to have somehow gatekeepers. But then at the same time, I would argue at least that most of us are sharing so much information about us anyhow on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. And many people also are already willing to share their genotype data somewhere on Facebook if it would be possible. So for now, it's locked away behind the gatekeepers, and we have those separate silos. So this is more or less also what we have traditionally in academia, right? We all have our own academic silos of data. We collect data, store it away, use it once, and then put it in the file drawer where it basically stays for a really, really long time and no one looks at it again. So let's now see why opening up those data might be a really good idea. And I really like this quote, which is already 10 years old, but still somewhat relevant, that I firmly believe that the next breakthrough in bioscience could come from a 15-year-old who downloads the human genome in Egypt. And this is something I really truly believe in, that basically by making data publicly available, people get access to the data and they have creative ideas which you as the person who collected data never thought about. And this is what I would really like to see facilitate somehow. Because, I mean, we are now here in a place which is more or less world famous for being a maker culture. People just do stuff, they do rapid prototyping, so why shouldn't we do rapid prototyping on top of this as well? You have a good idea, get some public data, use it, see whether it's interesting or not, and if there's some interesting result, then you can still follow up with higher quality measurements somehow. So this is what I would like to see. And we can use this basically by using a crowd. So the crowd is really useful because it can transform a mess like this, like unstructured data everywhere. For example, if you think about the Wikipedia, into this because they are making tons of lists and give tags and you have all those really useful things to find your data and use the data. And of course, if we are not talking about open, I'm not the first to think about like open science and open genetic data. So there's the personal genome projects and open humans. But those two are kind of different to what we are doing with OpenSNP because they are still somewhat based in the traditional academic life where we with OpenSNP are not at all. It's basically 6 people running a website without any ties to academia. So it's the grand idea. So it's a really, truly community project. So it's run by the crowd, the data is provided by the crowd because everyone can upload their own data from Wikipedia and other companies. And by now it's also funded by the crowd. So it's completely independent from any traditional mechanisms of how academic science should work. And of course, I mean it's called OpenSNP for a reason because all the data is genotype data and phenotype data is dedicated in the public domain, so you can use it for whatever research you would like to do. And if we look at this, basically crowdsourced genotypes, so people upload their data, it's visualized on the web. So you get like for each individual SNP in a genotyping data set, like the genotype frequencies, allele frequencies, your own genotype, then you can compare it to other users for how other users' genotypes are looking. And you also get lots of annotations because just having genetic data publicly available is kind of boring for most people because it can't interpret it. But so we are adding it to Wikipedia where again the crowd already has read lots of papers and has summarized it, so we can just thanks to structured data, get those nice results. So I have a 1.3 times risk for type 2 diabetes and obesity, so I can just look it up by going to OpenSNP where my data is publicly available. And we also have like in the public library of science, which again is nice because it's open access and everyone can use it. Then we also have like Mendeley as open access and closed access publications, and a couple of other external data sources to annotate our data. And of course, about visualizing data. Visualizing data is kind of cool, so we also have a small genome browser so you can see which genes are most located or which regions and so on. So this is the genotype data. So it's crowdsourced by just collecting, but at least as interesting as genotypes, of course, nowadays phenotypes. And phenotypes, so what we do is we also crowdsource it because we have no idea what phenotypes might be of interest to you, so we just let people make up new phenotypes. So if you're interested in a phenotype which is not listed, you just make up a new one. Everyone on the platform already gets a new question. So would you like to give us an answer about what your eye color is? And then all of a sudden people start answering about their eye color and 600 people give you information about it. Or nowadays even more. And this is really nice because, as I said, we have no idea what might interest you, and if you have a clever idea, just go for it. So we have those kind of regular and boring ones like eye color, but also like crazy ones like are you politically left or right leaning, and so all kinds of different variations which probably are not too genetically determined, but still if people are interested into why not do a study and see that it's not. But of course, so you get lots of detailed information as well because if you give people the ability to describe themselves, like for eye color, they will answer with really, really weird answers. So you would expect that eye color should have like 4 or 5 different answers, and we have like this at least, because people are really, really specific about giving information about this step. So I have not blue eyes here. Blue eyes with a sparkle of reading the left upper quadrant. So, yeah, cool. So to make it a bit more useful, at least in some instances, like also incorporate like tracking devices. So if you have a Fitbit and track your step count, your sleep, and your weight over time, you can also connect those accounts to OpenSnip and you collect your quantified step data over time as well. So we now have lots and lots of data in the platform, and now also access kind of becomes important. Fiona told you about how difficult it can be, but I mean, all this data is publicly available. It's created Part 0, public domain, so just use it. There's no requirements to register. So you can use like the complete dump. On our OpenSnip.org, there's this download the data button. If you click on it, like, I think by now 15 gigabytes of data will download to your hard drive right away. So don't quit here, please. Then there's like the API, two different ones, and there's also packages where if you want to do your analysis in R, you can just go straight away to OpenSnip. And now comes the big question, are people crazy enough to publish their data into the public domain with no strings attached? And luckily for us, yes they are. So it's not only me who's crazy enough to show you the genome or their personal genome, a couple of other people, but by now we are, this is now 2,000 people, but we've cracked this mark already, so it's 2,300 people are sharing their data publicly on the web, along with phenotype data, and some of them also with their daily sleep data, for example. And now comes the question, what will happen if you do this? So, the first point is code review. So if you're a programmer, you like doing code review, now people are doing this with genomes. So this is a report I got basically from some of our users via email, saying, I looked at your genome, so here your results show your European background, also your carrier for one of those SNPs which I find interesting, if it's might associate with this heart condition, but so far the evidence is kind of poor. And also, basically what he's saying, their parents are overstimulated. So, that's kind of interesting. Then, of course, as I said, Ancestry is the part. You might remember a couple of years back there was the skeleton of Richard III found under the car park, and they sequenced it. And basically now people can find out whether their data is somewhat closely related to Richard III. And as it turns out, we have at least 3 people who are closely related to Richard III on OpenSnip by now. And of course you can also do like standard stuff like PCA. So if you want to compare OpenSnip, which is pinkish here, to the HapMap populations, you will see that most of OpenSnip is worse than European somehow, which is not too surprising because this is like people who are interested in making somehow those kind of genetic testing. Then we have up here some Asian group and also some African group. So it's also, we have some kind of distribution of the globe, which is nice. And what you can also do, which is really, really interesting to my interest, is privacy research, because what always comes up if you do genetic testing and making this data publicly available is, so how is it about privacy? And this is a really tough topic somehow, I would say. And actually people are using now this data set, which we've amassed by using people who are willing to share, to figure out whether it's a problem or not. And this is one of the publications which came out this year using OpenSnip data. And they look whether they can re-identify basically people from their phenotype data. And the idea is that, so I know how you look like, I know just from looking at your hair color, your eye color, how large you are and stuff like this. Can I now pick your genome from the OpenSnip database and use them, if I correctly identified your genotype, to make inferences about other traits which you haven't opted to share with them so far. So this, well, I would say it works kind of if you have a small enough database and given a couple of assumptions, but it's really interesting to see that at least for some people, if you have enough combinations of phenotypic traits, you know you can somehow predict the genotype for it, because you can genome-wide association studies in 2 directions, right? Usually you want to go from genotype to phenotype, but you can of course go the other way around as well. And last but not least, also people are using it for educating themselves. So this is the post for Medium, which is published this year, and people are just getting their own genetic data done. They have no idea how to interpret it or what to do with it, so they just try to educate themselves using the web. So they are reading about it, and this, for example, is basically showing you a plot of how many publications we find in OpenSnip about the different SNPs on each chromosome. So there's lots of data available. If you want to zoom into single SNPs, you'll probably find some publications about it, which is really cool. So, as I said, crowdfunding. We are a small project which is basically so far run completely independent from universities and research institutions. I started the project with a friend in 2011, basically because I wanted to share my own data somewhere. There was no place for me to share data. So, what you do, of course, you have to do your own project for it somehow. And so, that's really cool. Then, because by not being associated somehow, we have complete control over the project, in a sense, and what we want to do and whatnot. And so far we paid for it out of our own pockets. So as I said, it's a small side project. We have all living day jobs, and our day jobs are basically paid for running this resource. And as you've seen, we've grown quite a bit over the last couple of years, so we really need to get some funding somehow. But funding always means some kind of responsibility and losing control, so let's basically do crowdfunding, because many people hopefully will like our idea and give us money for it. So we started now collecting for 1.5 months donations through Patreon, which is different from Kickstarter and the other things we've got, because it basically allows for monthly donations. So it's not a one-time goal we want to achieve, but we want to run this resource like indefinitely. So we need some money for our hosting costs every month. And people can say, okay, we'll just give you $1, $2, $5, $10, $20 every month to pay for your hosting costs. And this so far works really nicely, and we already kind of could upgrade our machines to provide a faster and better service, which is good. And with this, basically, you can already come to who we are. So this is the 6 people here running OpenSmith with me. So it's Philip, he started with me, he's now doing postdoc in Australia. And Helge, he's the only real non-supervised, which is a web developer. So Philip and I, we are both biologists by training. It's somehow transferred into bioinformatics without any official education in it. Which was also one idea because we started the project, because it's a nice idea to learn programming by having a good project. And then we have Helge, then Julia and Nora, they are both doing lots of, the PR department more or less, because we are somewhat not that permanent, also doing studies about the impact of OpenSmith. And Samantha, she's one of our earliest users, and she's given us feedback ever since, so she was user on the virtual also. And special thanks go to John Wilbanks. He's one of the open science people around, and he's been a great help so far. And of course, there's big thanks to all of our users and patrons for giving their data, maybe even giving money. Thanks for your attention.